This week in Boomtown, big changes are coming to two major central Ohio roads, which thousands of you drive every day.
I would say that's probably a better idea to keep traffic moving and people not stopping and waiting.
What area leaders say they're doing to improve your commute time. Plus, more people in central Ohio means more patients. But what is happening with our healthcare systems to keep this growing population healthy? And the manufacturing industry is booming, with companies in desperate need of welders, machinists, engineers, and more.
The demand's there, but if they can't fill those positions, I worry that they're going to find them from somewhere else.
So what's being done to fill the gaps? This week in Boomtown, we found the folks working overtime to prepare for the jobs of tomorrow. Whether it's traffic, your health, or jobs, Boomtown struggles are real, and we hear about them every day. That's why our stories are here, to help you find solutions and help all of us navigate those challenges. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. This week, Boomtown changes from the ground to the skies. We've been telling you about the preparations for a new terminal at John Glenn Columbus International Airport. So look at this, a lot of movement this week. This is International Gateway, and you can see it has moved north, and it is now down to just 2 lanes. But here's why all of this construction is happening to get ready for that new terminal at CMH. It is designed to meet the growing population here in Central Ohio and expected to be done by 2029. Thanks so much for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. So this week, we want to start by highlighting some new projects and companies that are growing in Central Ohio. We start in Pickaway County. BJ's Wholesale Club is expanding. Now, you're looking at video from 2022 when the wholesaler returned to Ohio after a 20-year absence. But it is now investing $100 million for a new logistics hub in Commercial Point that will create 250 jobs. This is the first logistics facility for BJ's in Ohio that will support its growing Midwest operations. Construction set to begin soon, with hiring already underway. Over to Westerville, Vertiv is making headlines. It is one of Central Ohio's most valuable companies with a whopping market value of, listen to this, $57 billion. The company leads in cooling and energy systems for booming data centers worldwide. And despite some stock fluctuations, the company's CEO says Vertiv's visibility is growing, both in the tech industry and here locally. And on the heels of New Albany announcing last week a new 500-plus acre development underway at US 62 and State Route 605, this week we are learning about another major new development in that city. It's called The Hamlet at Sugar Run. We're talking 32 acres that will transform into residential, retail, dining, also walking trails, plus there's an 8-acre park with public art. Now you can see these renderings giving us a better idea of what's to come. Initial site preparations are expected to start in early March, so just a couple of weeks away, and we should see this open by summer next year. And more people means more transportation. So this week, COTA President Monica Tejas-Fowler made the announcement that COTA will now expand its hours of operation. So those new hours will continue past midnight in downtown Columbus. All of this begins on May 5th. COTA officials say the new hours will help benefit the growing number of people who work second and third shifts. Well, let's talk about reducing traffic headaches as more drivers fill the roads. This week in Boomtown, we're learning more about how ODOT wants to reduce congestion right here on this 23-mile stretch of US 23 in Delaware County. So we're talking about the corridor really from Worthington all the way north to Waldo. That study found that that stretch is 30% over capacity, causing crashes and congestion. Well, ODOT is trying to get rid of more than 30 of the 39 traffic lights, and they think that could help. This week, 10 TV's Kristen McFarland went to Delaware County to speak with drivers about why these changes are needed.
Now that the study is complete, this action plan laid out guidelines for improvements, but business owners are concerned these changes could lead to a decrease in business.
All day, cars and trucks stop and go at the intersection of US 23 and Coover Road. To keep cars moving, ODOT recommends taking out the traffic light and eliminating left turns here. It may be good news for busy drivers, but not so great for nearby businesses.
Are you concerned about, the level of business you're going to get because of these improvements?
Yeah, there's not a lot of places to turn around, especially if you're going northbound. So it deters, and then they don't want to come in, or, you have people making U-turns in people's driveways, things like that.
Mike Cromley drives the corridor every day. He says he feels for businesses like Jessica Ladd's, but
I would say that's probably a better idea to keep traffic moving and people not stopping and waiting.
ODOT spokesperson Matthew McGuire says the changes aren't just about traffic flow, they're also about safety. A deadly crash happened last year at the intersection.
We've eliminated the opportunity for those head-on, left-turn, T-bone type crashes that are more likely to result in injury and fatality.
This isn't the only spot on US 23 that will change. ODOT plans to spend $1.6 billion to improve safety, traffic flow, and commute times.
Would any people's taxpayer dollars go towards this?
So the vast majority of our funding at ODOT comes from the motor vehicle fuel tax, which is obviously paid for by taxpayers. That's our primary funding source for the construction work that we do.
Now, ODOT plans for more public input on the projects, with public meetings scheduled for this spring. In Delaware County, Kristen McFarland, 10 TV News.
Kristen, thanks. And just south of downtown Columbus, a multi-million-dollar fix is in the works for a problem intersection in the Brewery District. We're talking about the intersection of Greenlawn Avenue, Thurman Avenue, and High Street. If you drive there, then you know. This has been a problem for decades as drivers weave by each other to go from one street to the next. It will only get worse as more people move to Columbus. So 10 TV reporter Kevin Landers explains how the city of Columbus is planning to fix this traffic headache.
The basic principle behind geometry is the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, unless you drive through the intersection of High Street, Thurman, and Greenlawn Avenues.
3 streets, 2 problems, 1 intersection.
What is it about it you don't like?
That you have to veer off to the left to go straight.
That's because 2 streets, Thurman Avenue and Greenlawn Avenue, don't allow drivers to turn left.
Is it dangerous to drive through here?
Yeah, plenty of accidents.
Because the streets of Thurman Avenue and Greenlawn Avenue don't align, the intersection requires drivers to make an S-turn to get from one street to the other, but no option to turn left from either street onto High Street.
What do you think about the design of this intersection?
I don't think it's the greatest.
The city says it has no plans to align Thurman with Greenlawn, but will instead reconfigure the intersection to allow for 2 left turn lanes. The city says that solution remains in the design stage. Drivers who must maneuver through this traffic tango say it can't come soon enough.
Do you think it needs to be fixed?
Absolutely. It's pretty frustrating, and don't find it to be very safe at all.
The city of Columbus says it will cost $3 million to add 2 left turn lanes here, as well as reconfigure the traffic lights. But you'll have to wait until 2027 to see it completed. Reporting in the Brewery District, Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Well, this week in Boomtown, solving the nursing shortage as more people need medical help. This week, Mount Carmel Health System expanded its virtual nursing program to more hospitals. Basically, a registered nurse can remote into a patient's room. Mount Carmel is now expanding that program to Grove City and Mount Carmel East. Finding nurses is one thing. Finding space for patients, well, that's a different kind of challenge. Leaders at Mount Carmel say they're working on that as well, and they will open another healthcare campus this spring in Dublin. As 10 TV's Tracy Townsend explains, administrators say this will help meet the needs of a growing suburb.
Work is in full swing on the new Mount Carmel Dublin campus.
This is one of our inpatient rooms on the 2nd floor. It also happens to be one of our intensive care unit rooms. We'll have 4 of those to start.
Mount Carmel's Vice President of Operations, Monica Trenish, gave us a tour of the hospital. It's going to have 60 inpatient beds. The rooms are more spacious, and she says sized to fit the patient, family, and the medical team.
Size is very challenging in a room when you have the patient, their family members, the physician.
The rooms also have space for a pass-through, which administrators say is an added layer of safety for a patient, perhaps in isolation. A nurse can also remotely enter a patient's room via their TVs and cameras to introduce themselves, answer any questions. It is a solution that will help in the ongoing efforts to address the nationwide nursing shortage. Cross-training is another strategy.
Our pre-op and post-op area, which is where we are, those nurses are all going to be cross-trained. And so they can help each other out, and it's all one area.
The facility is a $250 million investment offering primary care, orthopedics, neurology, cardiology, and surgical services. In all, there will be 300 full-time employees with an April 2025 opening date. Administrators say they're encouraged with application numbers so far.
83% of our applications, and we've had well over 1,100 applications put in for Dublin, 83% of them have been external colleagues, such as, so they don't work for Mount Carmel.
Tracy Townsend, 10 TV News.
We're joined now by Tracy Townsend to talk more about this massive health expansion that we're really seeing across the board. So Tracy, thank you. Welcome to This Week in Boomtown.
I love my first stop in Boomtown.
Well, we love having you here because you're talking about such an important topic, our health. And we're seeing all these expansions, Mount Carmel, which you just reported on, Ohio Health, OSU. What do you think is the common denominator that we're hearing from all of these health systems on why they're expanding now?
I think they are seeing the fact that we are the 14th largest city and that we are expecting millions of people to come to this region, and they are going to meet them where they are. And I think when you consider, families, if you live in the burbs, if you live in Delaware County, if you live in Licking County, and you need quality health care, you want to know that it's close at hand. You shouldn't have to travel, down an interstate or over an interstate to get there. And these hospitals they're really setting up shop where the growth is.
Interesting. And they're making it accessible for people to get there. So
they really are. I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, we're talking about adult hospitals, but, I'm thinking of even Nationwide Children's Hospital with their hospital out on 23. I mean, they are going where the families are, each of the hospital systems.
Well, let's take a deep dive into one of them. OSU Wexner Medical Center. You can't help but not see what they're building driving along 315. There's massive inpatient tower construction well underway, 1.1 million square feet, 26 stories tall. So what's going to fill all that space?
It's going to be really cool, if I can just be very serious and straight about it.
And she's a Buckeye alum too, by the way.
Yeah, full disclosure. But they have, there's a cafe. I mean, if you are sick and you need medical care, your whole family, there's going to be room for your family there. There's going to be the spaces where you can go out into green spaces when the weather is appropriate and breathe in the fresh air. So you're getting the quality medical scientific care, but you're also getting those other kinds of elements that you really can't buy. I mean, they understand how they're meeting patients. It's 360 degrees and families. And so that's gonna fill those spaces, obviously offices, research space, that kind of thing. The rooms are bigger, so there's room for your family to be in there with you when it's appropriate. All of the safety protocols are going to be met. So it's going to be it's going to be cool.
I love how you mentioned the green space because you see other massive health systems like Cleveland Clinic, and they have a massive footprint. But they've got a green space where there's a farmer's market on Wednesdays there. And so is that something that OSU is really trying to build, like you said, something for families where you're not in this crowded space, you don't know where to go, you don't know where it's safe to sit.
Right. I mean, if you've lived a life, you've been to a hospital and you go, oh, it has a hospital smell, or it has they're really trying to peel back those layers and make it a place where, obviously the person who is sick is getting that critical treatment that they need, but they're meeting the needs of families. And it's really important when you think about healthcare disparities, and they're making it accessible to all kinds of people. And I think, Ohio State has that footprint right here in the city center, but then also in their, I call them branches, that's not what they're called, but and there are locations out in the burbs.
So you were one of the first reporters they allowed in when hard hat construction, Tracy. It was great.
Yes.
When will we start seeing patients there?
That one is going to be, so this years are 2026 to 2029, so they've got a big chunk there, but I think they're closing in on that 26 space. Right. Although sometimes I feel like you could open now, but they're going to have, the technology is incredible. So if I can just tell you, so elevators in the back, so sort of back of the house, like you would think of a restaurant, you'll be able to just punch in, I'm going to, radiology, elevator just zips you right up there. And so it's in the back. So then if you come to visit me in the hospital, you're not in the way of all the equipment and things to come save my life. You just come to the room, bring the flowers and the chocolate.
Exactly.
Because they've got that in the back. I mean, it's just, they thought of, I think, everything.
I love it. You're so excited. I love the fact that you're so excited about this because she knows I would be the one sneaking the burger off to the side to Tracy. Okay, let's talk about Ohio Health. That is another hospital system. Several projects in the work, in fact, for them. I think there's a $400 million expansion for Grant Medical Center. They're doing a women's health center at Riverside. And also, first of its kind is a postpartum care at Dublin Methodist. So this is really a lot of expansion, if you will. Tracy, let's start with Grant, because that is in a landlocked area of downtown Columbus. What made them say, hey, we need to expand right here?
It's the original hospital in their system. So, you know, they are meeting that need. They're going to build up. They've got office space where there used to be, I think, a parking garage that we'd seen down there. And so they're going to be meeting people's needs there. You know, they're a level 1 trauma center. So they'll still be doing all of that great work right there in the heart of the city. And then you go up to Riverside with that women's health center. I mean, that is seriously birth to the end of your life. I mean, I think that is phenomenal. So you can have your baby, you can meet with your OBGYN, you can also, when you're going through your midlife, or, you know, when you're having your hot flashes, they're going to have that all right there for women. I mean,
who does that? Like, you don't hear us back in our early 20s, you'd have to pick who you could go to all over town if you were lucky.
And that was
to
just
find
last year when we were in our 20s, of course. But I mean, now you have options.
We do, you do. And the fact is that when you said birth to the end of your life, I mean, I know that a lot of times women feel forgotten right after they give birth. So that postpartum care is so critical.
They are going to remember you. They're going to have the experts there so that you can navigate that. Don't forget about those of us in that stage, because we still got it going on.
Yeah, we still pay our copays, so we're important. Do you ever hear people, though, saying, oh my gosh, there's another mini hospital opening up here, opening up there? I mean, it seems like you said, they are meeting people where they are, so the suburbs where it's booming, where it's growing. But I mean, in Northeast Columbus, right there on 161 in Hamilton, you've got all of them, like a mini hospital. Like, who do you choose?
Well, and I think that gets to the business side of it. I mean, you can go, you as a patient have options. And so I think that that's going to make everybody elevate the care that they offer, the amenities, those kinds of things. But, you know, the reality is you live in a community, not everybody's going to Ohio Health or OSU or Mount Carmel, but now they're branching out to go to where you are. So if you were seeing somebody downtown, you're not necessarily going to lose that patient because they now live, you know, in a suburb. You will be able to access that. And of course, every hospital has its own charting system, which you can take care of an app on your phone. And so I think they are meeting the needs. We still have, I think, big picture, the issues of access for some communities, but they're really even trying to go into those communities with community health centers. You know, what those of us who have been here a minute remember was Mount Carmel on west over there in Franklinton.
Yes.
That's a community center.
It is.
And I just recently reported on the fact that you can go over there. It's free, no insurance necessary to get some health coaching. So they're really trying to meet those needs that everybody has and provide the access.
So it sounds like the future of healthcare is really, I mean, it is cyclical in a way that we're still seeing we need that down to grassroots neighborhood healthcare, but maybe in a different way where it's now through technology, social media, the apps, but also, I mean, direct care primary physicians coming right to your home.
Coming to your home, coming into your room, Mount Carmel, Dublin, when that one opens this spring, they're going to have what I call it virtual nursing. They have their brand name on it, but it's not just virtual nursing. Your physician, they're going to be able to tap in with your permission to talk with you in your hospital room.
So we don't have to wait for them to go on rounds. They're right there.
Right.
Love it. Love it. All right, Tracy. To
Very
better
exciting.
health.
Yes. To better health.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
And we have much more ahead right now on This Week in Boomtown. We learned the Pickaway County Port Authority is receiving $86 million to upgrade its infrastructure. A majority of that money will support the development of the Anderville manufacturing site right along Air Base Road. As we learned last month, Anderville is expected to bring more than $1 billion to Central Ohio with those initial investments and create more than 4,000 jobs. That money is coming from the state to support what Governor Mike DeWine says is the largest job creation project ever for our state. But finding the workforce will not be easy when the time comes. That's why schools like the Jonathan Alder District in Plain City launched a new educational lab this week. It's a partnership with Amazon Web Services, preparing students to help power Boomtown. Programs like this teach students coding and problem solving so they can use that in the workforce. And this is the third lab for the district. But between Intel, Anderville, Microsoft, Google, all tech companies investing in Ohio. So how exactly is Ohio investing in itself? Some say Central Ohio's rapidly growing manufacturing industry is both a blessing and a curse, and the size of our workforce just cannot keep up with demand. 10 TV's Kevin Landers shows us where the kids of today are getting prepped for the jobs of tomorrow. Here's his report.
Sparked by a $200 million state investment.
You guys okay?
Yeah. Ohio's career technical education programs,
we're teaching them the very basics of machining,
are trying to keep up.
I've always been interested in becoming an engineer.
With the building boom in Central Ohio.
Columbus is growing like crazy.
As a result, manufacturers are desperate for skilled labor. The state needs more welders, more machinists, more robotics engineers, carpenters, and electricians.
I want to work with my hands.
Instructors say they're getting inundated with requests for well-trained students.
The demand's there, but if they can't fill those positions, I worry that they're going to find them from somewhere else or move the manufacturing to somewhere else, and we need more manufacturing, not less.
At Eastland Fairfield Technical Schools, enrollment has climbed every year since 2020. Students see this kind of hands-on education as a quick way to a job.
Do you feel confident that when you leave here that you'll have a job?
Oh yeah. 100%.
At Columbus State, enrollment in its engineering program has grown from 407 students in 2022 to 527 students today.
Right now we're wiring up outlets.
Across the state, more than 136,000 juniors and seniors are enrolled in a career tech program.
It's good to have something to fall back on.
At Pickaway Ross Career and Technology Center, they're building 2 more classroom labs to meet the demand. Its welding class has a wait list of more than 70 students.
We need to expand more. So through that $200 million investment, over the next 10 years, we're going to put 40,000 more students into career technical education pathways.
Ohio's workforce is changing. In 2000, it was the Great Resignation as workers left their jobs during COVID. Today, it's the gray tsunami as more older workers are retiring and leaving their jobs.
Ohio's career technical schools are trying to fill the manufacturing hole. The challenge, they say, is getting kids to understand that the path to a job doesn't always require a college degree.
The tide has definitely turned where career tech is becoming the cool kid in the room because everybody wants that hands-on experiential learning that you receive in career tech.
Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Kevin, thanks for that great insight. Meantime, the Johnstown-Monroe School District is also a driving workforce hub, and it just landed a historic land deal with the city buying the Johnstown Administration Building for $1.2 million, and that includes the 3 acres around it.
But it helps us with some of our athletic spaces. So initially, we're going to have space in there for cheerleading, for wrestling, and for indoor batting for baseball and softball. That's the first section or segment of what we're starting with this process.
So I went to Johnstown to see for myself, and it's clear the district is in need of more space. The superintendent, Dr. Phil Wagner, there told me that the city hall purchase is just part of the district's larger strategic plan in dealing with a growing Licking County. Right now, construction is underway to add to the high school. Once completed in August, right here, they will have 6 additional classrooms that will allow for 175 more high schoolers.
We don't want to come to the table 5 to 7 years from now and say, let's get started. So really, most of our work is starting now, and it's modeling what will it look like when we have this number of students, this number.
And here's where Wagner says the deal is truly a win-win. He says the city will first lease the space from the school until it can relocate those city offices, council chambers, and police department. Well, we know Central Ohio will need a lot of energy resources to help power all those massive data centers there in Licking County and beyond. One solution being tossed out right now, a new energy center in New Albany. Boomtown was there for the first public hearing about the Power Connects New Albany Energy Center. That's what it's called. This would be powered by natural gas and provide electricity to one of the data centers near Mink Street and State Route 161.
New Albany is a very important area for the data center business, and EdgeConnects decided to build a data center here. And due to the ability of us to, our Power Connects business, to provide power for that data center.
And the company tells us this would create hundreds of jobs during construction and more to work in the center once it's built. However, some community members tell us that they need more answers about how this energy center will impact the environment.
Definitely the pollution concerns, considering that natural gas has a little bit of a misnomer that it's very polluting and not natural. I'm curious how that is being considered.
So here's where this stands today. Power Connects says they are working with the Ohio EPA and Ohio's Power Siting Board to make sure the center meets emission requirements. The next public meeting is scheduled less than a month out on March 19th. So clearly a lot more to come on this topic and so much more as we uncover new stories of how this regional growth really affects all of us. Don't forget, we also have our 10 TV Plus original, Welcome to Boomtown. You'll see how our stories are seeking solutions for everyone. I'm Angela Ann. Thanks so much for watching This Week in Boomtown.